This is the Chapter 16 Guided Test Review with Mr. B. We're going to be doing all of them. So first here we have use the diagram to write the trigonometric ratio as a fraction. Leave in simplest terms, so that means we got to reduce. So we're using tangent on A, so everything's starting with angle A right here from 1, 2, and 3. So just write SOHCAHTOA up here. Okay, so tangent A, so that's opposite over adjacent, so that means it would be 9 over 5, and I cannot do anything with that, so I leave it as is. Sine A is opposite over hypotenuse, and we know that this is the hypotenuse because this is where the 90 degree is, and that's on the opposite of that. So opposite over hypotenuse is 9 over 14. Can't reduce, we'll leave it as is. Cosine A is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 5 over 14. Can't reduce, leave it as is. All right, so now we got to find the value of x. So I got to start here with the 37 degrees. I know this is my hypotenuse. This is going to be opposite. This will be adjacent, okay? We're looking for the x right there. So I know if I do, the x is opposite and I have a hypotenuse. That's what's given to me. So I'm going to use sine. So if I do sine 37 is equal to x over 40. And then remember, this is just over 1, and then I cross multiply. So sine 37 times 40. Round to the nearest tenth, I get 24.1. All right, so this is my hypotenuse. We're going to start here. So this would be opposite, this would be adjacent. So I have what's given to me is my opposite and my adjacent. So that's going to give me tan. So I'm going to do tan x is going to be equal to, let's see here, 4 over 10. And it's over 1. So tan x is going to be equal to, so tan x times 10 is equal to 4. So really, it's tan x is equal to 4 divided by 10, and then, so on this one right here, what we're going to have to do is, because we're looking for an angle, we're going to have to do tan negative 1. So let's back this up a step. Tan x is equal to 4 over 10, so that's fine. But the only thing I need to get rid of is the tan. So I'm going to do the inverse. So tan negative 1, tan negative 1 to both sides. And then I'll just have x left over on the left side. So I'm going to do 4 divided by 10 is equal to 0.4. And then I'm going to do tan to the negative 1 times 0.4. It's going to be equal to 21.8. And that is an angle, so I put degrees. All right, this is my hypotenuse. I'm going to do this angle because that's the one that's given to us. That means this be opposite, this be adjacent. So what's given to me is the adjacent and the hypotenuse. That's going to be cosine. So I'm going to do cosine 15 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So that'd be 9 over x. So then, remember this is just over 1, and then we cross multiply. So cosine 15 times x is equal to 9. So then I'm going to divide both sides by cosine 15. So 9 divided by cosine 15 parentheses is going to be equal to 9.3. All right, I know this is my hypotenuse. I know if I'm starting at this angle, this is my opposite, this is adjacent, so I have my adjacent, And I have my hypotenuse, so I'm going to do cosine. So cosine x is going to be equal to my adjacent over hypotenuse, so 27 or 7 over 23. Now all I need to do is get rid of the cosine on each side, so I'm going to do cosine -1, cosine -1. So I'm multiplying it. So I'm going to do cosine. Shift cosine. So cosine to the -1, and then 7 divided by 23, parentheses, and I'll get 72.3. So 72.3 degrees. All right, find x and y. Show all steps round to the nearest tenth. So if I'm going to find x, what I can do is x, and I know this is my hypotenuse, that's 8 is given. So if I have my opposite and my hypotenuse, I can use sine. So sine 42 is going to be equal to x over 8. So then I just cross multiply, so sine 42 times 8. And that will give me 5.3. And I just check my, let's see what I did wrong here. And then I just, so it'd be 5.35, so I'd round that to 5.4. So now, if you think about it, after I've done that, I know that my x is 5.4. And I'm looking for y here. So in a triangle, I have an A and a B, and then I have a C. So I could just do 5.4 squared plus plus y squared is equal to, I shouldn't say y squared, that should be b squared. Because technically, like, this is A, and then this is the B, and this is the C. Is going to be equal to c squared, which is 8 squared, so that'd be 64. So 5.4 squared is equal to 29.16 plus b squared is equal to 64. I'm going to minus 29.16 on each side. So 64 minus 29.16 is equal to 34.84. And then if I just have b squared and I only want b, I take the square root of both sides. So then b is going to be equal to square root of 34.84. That's going to give me 5.9 if I round to the nearest tenth. Check my answer, and it is 5.9. All right, so number 9. How long is the hill down the roller coaster? So just look at it like this, right? You got this triangle right here, and then you're given 98, 55, and that's all you're given. So what we need to do is, so I'm assuming we're looking for this right here. We'll call that x. So that will give me, this is my hypotenuse, and then this would be opposite. So I have opposite and hypotenuse, so that's going to be sine. So sine 55 is going to be equal to 98 over x. So then this is over 1. So 98 is equal to sine 55 times x. So then what I need to do is divide each side by sine 55. So 98 divided by sine 55 is going to be equal to 119.6. And check my answer, and that is correct. So it'd be 119.6 feet. Find the altitude to base of an isosceles triangle with 6 legs 6 in legs and base angles of 36. So I'm just going to do this up here. I'm just going to draw it out. So I have a triangle, right? And it's isosceles. So the legs are 6, and then the base angles of 36. So it's just find the altitude. So what that means is it's got to find this line, because this is going to give you a 90-degree angle. So if I then break that up, right, it doesn't matter if you do the left side or the right side because it's isosceles. That would give me on the left side this triangle right here, right? And this is 36. Oh, no, sorry. Inside here is 36. And then this is 90 degrees. And then this is a base, or I'm sorry, side leg of 6. So here's the thing. I'm looking for that right there, like this length up and down. Okay? So don't worry about the 90. Just know that makes this the hypotenuse. And then if I start right here, this would be opposite. So I'm given the x and the 6, so I'm given the opposite and the hypotenuse. So that would mean sine, right? So I would do sine 36 is equal to x over 6. And then I would just cross multiply. So this is over 1, cross multiply. Sine 36 times 6 is equal to x. So sine 36, close parentheses, times 6 is equal to 3.52, so 3.5. So x is equal to 3.5. Check my answer, and it is in inches, so make sure you put your markings in. Or labels, I should say. All right, Rapunzel is stuck in the tower. Flynn Rider leans a 30-foot ladder against the wall, the base of the ladder. So let's just do this, right? Here's my tower, right? Leans a 30-foot ladder. So this is 30 right here. The base of the ladder is 15 feet. So that means right there, 15. What is the angle the ladder makes with the ground? So that's this right here. Okay, so then if you were to look at this a little bit differently, you could see that the triangle is made obviously right here. So it would look like that. I know this is 30. I know this is 15. And then we're looking for this angle right here. We'd have to assume that this is the 90 degrees, so that makes this the hypotenuse, and that makes this adjacent. So we don't know what this is, so let's just call, or the angle is, so let's just call it angle x. So we have the adjacent and the hypotenuse, so that'd be cosine. So cosine x is equal to 15 over 30. Now, because we're solving for x here and it's an angle, to get rid of the cosine on each side, we'd have to do cosine to -1 to both sides. And we're multiplying it. So it would look like x is equal to 15 divided by 30 times cosine -1. And that's what you would just type in your calculator. So I'll do 15 divided by 30, I know that's 0.5, times shift, cosine -1. Oh, sorry. I might have to do it like this. I'm going to have to do shift cosine in the parentheses and then multiply that by the 15 divided by 30. And that gives me 60. So our angle right there is going to be 60 degrees. So x equals 60 degrees. All right, so how tall is the tree? So we're really looking for this right here, right? And then we know that there's an extra 1.6 right here, so don't forget about that. But let's just find out what it is in the triangle. So if this is 20, this is 20, right? So what I'm going to have to do is I'm looking for this right here. We'll call that x. So I have the opposite, I have the adjacent. So in SOHCAHTOA, that would be tan. So do tan 32 is equal to, and that would be the adjacent, no, the opposite over the adjacent, so that'd be x over 20. And then I'll just cross multiply. So it'd be x is equal to tangent 32 times 20. So I would do tangent 32, close parentheses, times 20 in my calculator, and I get 12.5. So that means, so x is equal to 12.5. Now here's the thing. Because we have this extra 1.6 right here, we'd have to do, and we want to find the whole length of this tree, we have to do 12.5 plus 1.6. So 12.5 plus 1.6 is going to give me 14.1. That's going to be in meters. That's me, my final answer. All right, Yogi Bear can't get too close to the ranger station at Jellystone Park. The ranger spots Yogi in the 45-foot tall ranger station. So he's up here. What is the distance in his line of sight? So here's the tricky thing. If this angle is 40 right here, that means this angle right here has to be 40. And what we're looking for is the x right there. So this gives me the opposite, and then this is the adjacent. So then again, we would use tan. So tan 40 is equal to the opposite, which is 45 feet, over the adjacent, which is x. Cross multiply, so tan 40 times x is equal to 45. So then I would divide both sides by tan 40 to get x alone. So 45 divided by tan 40 is going to be 53.6. Oh, here's the thing. So I'm not worried about this x right here. I'm worried about this x. So what I'd have to do, instead of using tan, I would have to use, again, I'm not worried about this at all. This is my hypotenuse. So I have the opposite and I have the hypotenuse. So that'd be sine. So it'd be sine 40. You put that over 1 is equal to 45 over x. So sine 40 times x is equal to 45. So I do 45 divided by sine 40. That would give me 70.0, so 70 feet. So I think I was looking at the distance from here to here, when it was really the line of sight from here to here, because that would be different. We were really looking for the hypotenuse instead of the adjacent. So, all right, keep going. State if each triangle is right, obtuse, or acute. So what we need to do is we need to solve for all these angles. So if I'm looking at this angle right here in the bottom right, I could do, actually I don't know what the hypotenuse is. So what I would need to do is, so you could, if you wanted to, find all of these angles right here. But the thing is, we don't really know which one's the hypotenuse. Now we could guess this is the 90 degrees, so this would be the hypotenuse. So then you would need to find all three angles. Or what you could do is the Pythagorean theorem. And what that would be is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now, if that's the case, that's a right triangle. If a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, then that would mean, for example, in this case, this angle right here is greater than this angle, so that would be acute. If a squared plus b squared is less than c squared, then that would be obtuse. Okay, so first thing you need to do is order these three from smallest to greatest. So I know I did this already, so it'd be square root of 115, 12, 14. So then that would mean the square root of 115 squared plus 12 squared. And then is that going to be greater than, equal to, or less than the square root of 14 squared? So the square root of the square root of 115 squared is just 115, right? And then plus 144 is equal to 14 squared. Not necessarily equal to, but it's 196. So I'm going to add my left side, 115 plus 144. 115 plus 144 is equal to 259. So that would mean the left side is greater than the right side, right? So my a squared plus my my a squared plus my b squared is greater than my c squared. So that would be acute. Same thing here. First off, just do the square root of 41, and you get, it's like 6.4 something. So that's going to be the greatest one. So it's going to be, what we need to do is just order these to be 2, 5, and then square root of 41. So I would do 2 squared plus 5 squared, and then what is the relationship to for the square root of 41 squared? So that would be 4 plus 25, and then 41. So 4 plus 25 is 29, so that would be less than 41. So that would mean it's obtuse. All right, find the missing measures, round to the nearest tenth if needed. So I'm looking for x, but look, this is just a triangle, and I'm given all three sides. This is A, this is B, and this is C. So 22 squared plus A squared is equal to 38 squared. 22 squared is equal to 484. 38 squared is equal to 1,444. So I would subtract 484 from each side, and then I'll get 960. So a squared is equal to 960. I want to get rid of that squared because I just want a, so I would take the square root of 960. And that'd be 30.98, so I'd round that up to 31. Same thing with this. I know this is the hypotenuse, so this is going to be an A, this is going to be a B. So 21 squared plus 12 squared is going to be equal to x squared, or my c squared. So 21 squared plus 12 squared, which is 144, would then be 585 is equal to my c squared, or my x squared. You can call it either. I'll just leave it as c, just to be for it to be simple. I want only one c, so I'm going to take the square root of both. So the square root of 585 is going to be 24.18. I need to remember the nearest tenth, so it'll be 24.2. Then we go to, all I'm worried about here is just this triangle. If I want to bring it out, it would look like that. And then because the right angle is right there, this is my hypotenuse, so this would be my C. So 34 squared plus 22 squared is equal to C squared. 34 squared plus 22 squared is equal to 1640. It's equal to C squared. So then take the square root of both sides. So then C is going to be the square root of 1640. That'd be 40.49, so 40.5. All right, and then this one, don't worry about it being in a big shape. It's just that triangle right there. So if you pull it out, right, that's my 90. So this is my hypotenuse on this side, and that's 28. And then this is what we're looking for, and this is 11. So this will be like an A, this will be B, and this side, the hypotenuse will be C. So 11 squared plus x squared, or b squared, whichever you want, is going to be equal to 28 squared. So 11 times 11 is 110, no, 121, sorry. 121 plus x squared is going to be equal to 28 squared. It would be 784. I'm going to subtract 121 from each side. So x squared is going to be equal to 663. Take the square root of both sides, and I would get the square root of 663 is equal to 25.74, so 25.7. That's your final answer right there. All right, for number 20, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to worry about, so if this whole thing's 8, this bottom's got to be 4, and this is going to be 4, right? And so I'm just going to worry about this triangle right here. I'm going to pull it out. So I'll have a triangle like this. It's not exact, but it works. That's going to be 9. This is going to be 4, and then I'm looking for x right here. So because this is 90, I know this is my hypotenuse, so this could be an A, this is going to be B, and this is going to be my C. So then I would do x squared plus 4 squared, which is 16, is equal to 9 squared, which is 81. And then minus 16 from 81. Okay, it's 65. So x squared is equal to 65. I don't like that. It is just sitting there squared, so I'm going to take the square root of 65. That gives me 8.06, so x is going to be equal to 8.1. Let me find my answer key here. And on number 20, I'm 8.1. So we're good to go. All right, 21, a little bit trickier because we have a 2x and an x. So I'm just going to set it up just the same. I know, again, this is the opposite, so that means 10 is the hypotenuse. So this is going to be a C. We'll call this A, we'll call this B. So 2x squared, right, plus x squared is going to be equal to 100. So then, remember, I have to do, both of these are squared, so it'll be 4x squared plus x squared is then going to be equal to 100. So that's going to be a total of 5x squared is equal to 100. So I'm going to do 100 divided by 5. It's going to be 20. So x squared is then going to be equal to 20. And this is number 21. So then I'm going to take the square root of 20, and I get 4.47. So that's going to be 4.5. All right, does the set form a Pythagorean triple? So what I need to do here, it's asking if I take this is A, this is B, this is C, right? And it goes from smallest to biggest. So A, B, C. So if I do 30 squared plus 40 squared, is that going to equal 50 squared? So it's kind of like asking that question. So 30 squared plus 40 squared is going to be 2,500, yep. So 2,500 is equal to 50 squared. 50 squared is 2,500. So therefore, yes, it is a Pythagorean triple. I'm going to do the same thing over here. A, B, C. So 6 squared is 36 plus 12 squared is 144 is equal to 28 squared, which is 784. So I add 36 plus 144, and I get 180 is equal to 784. That does not make sense, okay? So therefore, no, it's not. All right, 24, rectangular garden has dimensions of 8 feet long and 12 feet wide. So we have 12 feet wide and then 8 feet long, okay? How many feet of chicken wire is needed to divide the garden along the diagonal? So the diagonal goes from here to here, right? So that's what I need to know. That's my x, right? So I can just use Pythagorean theorem. So assuming that this is in the 90 degrees, x would be the hypotenuse or the diagonal. So 8 squared is 36 plus 12 squared, which is 144, is then going to be equal to, this is my c right here. So I'll just call that x squared. So 36 plus 144 is equal to 180. Take the square root of 180, and I get 13.4. So on the answer key, it says 14.4, but let me just take another quick look here. So 8 squared, 8 times 8 is 64, sorry, not 36. So 64 plus 144 is going to be equal to 208. So then I have 208 is equal to x squared. I want to take the square root of both of these to just get x is equal to, and then I take the square root of 208. It's going to be 14.4. That'll be feet. All right, 13-foot ladder is placed against a wall. So it's 13 foot. So that's going to be right there, right? This is the ladder right here. Okay? The ladder is 12 feet from the wall. So it's right there. How high is the floor? How high above the floor is the ladder? So 12 is the floor, 13 is the ladder. So this is going to give you your height right here. We want to know what x is. So x squared plus 12 squared is going to be equal to 13 squared. X squared plus 144 is then going to be equal to 13 squared is 169. I'm going to minus 144 on each side. So I'll have x squared is going to be equal to 25. Take the square root from both sides to just get x. So x is going to be 5 feet. So this right here, this height right here is 5 feet. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. I did the entire thing for you. You can, as always, email one of us if you have any questions. You can stop in after school or possibly during a study hall. Or, as always, you can use the math lab. All right, have a good night.